Hey, and welcome everybody. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust, the podcast. Hope you're all doing well today, and that you're getting your week started out right. This has been good. It's the end of the week. It's our weekend roundup of things that you might have missed throughout the week. So this is going to be good. We're going to talk a little bit today about some politics. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the nation. Talk a little bit about maybe the U.S., Turning Point USA, that kind of stuff. I'm looking really forward to that. All of that, guys, and much more on this week's In God We Still Trust. So we'll be back in just a second, folks. We'll get this thing lined up. I'm looking really forward to it. We'll be back in just a second. Stay tuned. Alrighty, hey folks, it's Pastor Sherman Ray, and it's In God We Still Trust. I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast. In God We Still Trust is all about our country, guys. It's all about, a returning to civility, a returning to the founding principles that our founding fathers got us, that left us with. I talked to my church about this morning, that we are actually going to be celebrating in the next 6 months or so, the 250th year of the independence of this nation. Yeah, it's pretty big. I'm really excited about it. But it's really more than just the independence of our country. It's really the culmination, or the, the anniversary of our nation giving itself over to God fully and saying, God, do with us as you want. That's really what it's about. So I'm really excited about that, and you should be too. If you'd like to, this is your first time joining the broadcast. Oh, let me get over to our YouTube channel. I'm going to go over to our YouTube channel, folks, because I know there's people that are on our YouTube channel that are waiting for this show to broadcast, and hope that you guys can join us. If that's you, I'm going to go ahead. Let me do something here real quick. If this is your first time joining the broadcast. Let's do that. There we go. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, we'd love to have you in on the conversation. And tell your friends that we're on, and that you can check out the show. Also, you can get us on YouTube. You can see us on X, Instagram, Facebook, our Facebook page, and on GodstreamTV. Yeah, just type in GodWeStillTrust.com, GodWeStillTrust.com or .org, and you can actually get straight over, to our GodstreamTV channel. So it's very cool, and they're growing all the time on that. Let's start off, you guys, with a story that happened earlier in the week. This is actually a story. News Nation posted this story, and the story is about a deadly truck crash. And it was happening in California. This guy who actually was the driver of the truck, entered the U.S. illegally. And this is an amazing story. Once again, it's a News Nation story. It says a truck driver has been identified in the 8-car pileup. Many of you saw this, an 8-car pileup in California that left 3 people dead and at least 4 injured. Authorities said the semi-truck driver was Jashanpreet Singh. He crashed into several vehicles traveling at low speeds on the Interstate 10 in Ontario in bumper-to-bumper traffic. So these cars are going really slow, and here comes this semi-truck just barreling through it. He said authorities said 2 of the victims were in a car that was so badly damaged that they were not able to determine the make or model of the car. And the 3rd victim was in a pickup truck. The names of the victims were not released as of Thursday. And here's the thing about it, and it leads me to a wider problem we have here in this country, is that we have a lot of people that are coming into this country who are getting commercial driver's licenses. So it's not bad enough that they get, benefits, healthcare benefits, and woke Democrats are getting them all kinds of benefits. They can buy homes, they're getting education, whatever they want. But now they're getting commercial driver's license. And just about, I don't know, a couple of months ago, it wasn't even a couple of months ago, a semi-truck driver, an Indian guy, who'd been in the country illegally, who had gotten a commercial driver's license, was doing a U-turn on one of our national streets, and a car come barreling down the road and T-boned this truck, killing the people in the car. And how are these people getting these licenses? How are these people getting, on our roadways? And more importantly, why are Democrats fighting to keep these people driving on our streets? This is the crazy part about it. And this is a question we all need to ask. Gavin Newsom jumped in on the conversation and he said something very remarkable. He said, well, the federal government gave this guy a background check and said he was all right. You're right. It was a federal government's issue that they should have never done this. California should have never issued him a commercial driver's license, but the federal government should have never, ever have allowed this guy to get his commercial, get a background check. Well, let's track that back. Who was in charge of the federal government at the time? Joe Biden it was under the Biden administration that this happened. This is not happening now. As a matter of fact, they're trying to come up with a law. They're trying to come up with legislation that will prevent any entity from allowing these illegal people getting their driver's licenses. And there's really nothing wrong with that at all. It goes to a wider conversation that the nation needs to have. Excuse me. Is why are we allowing people who are not citizens of the United States to get driver's license, to get health care, to vote in our elections, and you go down the gambit of things that these people are allowed to do. And it should not be in America, folks. This is the problem with what's going on in America, is that we're exposing ourselves to some crazy stuff that we should not have, folks. Okay. Anyways, let's take a real quick break, folks. We'll be back in just a second. This is Pastor Sherman Ray for In God We Still Trust. We'll be back in just a second. All right, and we're back, folks. This is Pastor Sherman Ray for In God We Still Trust. We had people asking about the show, and they were saying, "Hey, can we get just the audio version of this show?" Well, and the answer is, of course, you can. You can go on to Spotify, or into Apple Podcast, and the show is available there, so you can actually go and get In God We Still Trust there. So I encourage you. Get the show there. You can actually go to GodstreamTV and watch the entire thing. Take it along with you. You can do it on your phone, that kind of stuff. They're redoing the website In God We Still Trust, so definitely avail yourself of that. There was a story in Breitbart, and I don't know if you've seen this. Many of you have seen this before. I'm sorry, I'm going to drink from my red, white, and blue cup here. Let me turn around this way so you can actually see. There's actually a flag on my camera. The former governor of Chicago, her name is Lori Lightfoot. Many of you know her of the bad hair and bulbous buggy eyes. She announced a plan to unmask ICE agents. Yeah, when you thought it was getting worse. Many of you know that the Trump administration has enlisted the help of ICE agents to go into locales and to get all the illegal aliens that they can get out of the country. There were more than 20 million people who came into our country, and they are slowly but surely getting them out. But there are cities who call themselves sanctuary cities that have done everything they can to not allow that to happen. And as a matter of fact, you see them in Portland, you see them in Washington, D.C., you see them all around the nation fighting against ICE for ICE agents who are doing their lawful duty to try to get rid of these people. And they are doing everything they can to not allow that to happen. So part of the the resistance movement to allow ICE agents to do their job has been that they've been fighting with them, and now Lori Lightfoot is doing something that is just reprehensible. Here's the story. It says, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is spearheading a project to reveal the names and locations of immigration and customs enforcement officers, while pro-migration activists are trying to block pro-American law enforcement. The ex-mayor, who became the first Democratic mayor to lose the re-election bid in 40 years, announced the launch of I want to tell you what it's called, the ICE Accountability Project. The deposed mayor claims that the new effort will unmask ICE agents so the public can know their identities and track their whereabouts. Wow. This is what she says. They are on public property, out in the open. She insisted, we have an absolute right under our Constitution to document what's happening. Wow. This is like, I don't know how much worse you can get on this. I don't know if you can get any worse than this, than Lori Lightfoot saying, what we're going to do is we're going to actually dox. We're going to let people know what these ICE agents, what they look like, what if they wear a ring, if they have a limp, if they have a certain thing they do with their shirt or whatever, so that people can know exactly who they are and where they're at and why they're doing what they're doing. And here's the crazy thing about this, folks. She's going to get somebody killed. She's going to get somebody killed. There's also a move afoot to try to prosecute ICE agents for what? For doing their job. And Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, is saying, guys, guess what? You're going to come crashing headlong into the federal government when you start doing this, because we're not going to allow this to happen. As a matter of fact, it's against the law to do stuff like that. It really is. And so I cannot wait to see what's going to happen as a result of this effort by Pam Bondi to try to thwart the unlawful work of these woke folks. It drives me crazy. And there's another story, guys. Another thing happened in the news this week, and this was crazy. This was the NBA. This was a probe started about a year ago, I believe it was, a little over a year ago, where they were noticing a pattern of betting and gambling that not only was suspicious, but it caught the ire of the FBI. Here's the story. It says how mafiosi and NBA stars used rigged card shufflers, X-ray tables, and secret contact lenses in multi-million-dollar poker scam. And this is crazy. So what happened is that, at least at this point, 30 people are named in an indictment brought by the FBI saying that they conducted illegal gambling. Gambling is bad enough in pro sports, okay? NBA players, ex-NBA players, current NBA players, current coaches are being named in an indictment saying that they cheated by rigging games, throwing games, saying, I feel sick, I feel sick, I'm going to leave the game. And people do these prop bets. Many of you heard of what a prop bet. A prop bet is basically you're saying, I believe that this player is going to get this many points, this player is going to foul, whatever, that kind of stuff. They're called proposition bets. And what is happening is these players got involved in this gambling scheme. It was bad enough they're playing poker, okay? And they were cheating in poker, okay? So they're playing card games. They would get a well-known NBA player to be at this game to lure in these other players, call them whales here in Las Vegas. We call them whales. And they'd get these people to come in. They'd have X-ray glasses, not X-ray glasses, X-ray contact lenses, right? They would have tables that had X-rays so they could tell what your cards are. They had card shuffling machines that they knew exactly what cards are coming out of the machine. And a lot of this stuff is actually, well known to people on the white hat side. Okay, that would be the house. Okay, that would be the gambling establishments. But now they're using them in underground games, and they're taking people to the cleaners. And now and in addition to that, they're using Chauncey Billups and a few other well-known people were saying, you know what, we're going to bet on the games now. We're going to bring people into the games. And one player in particular says, hey guys, guess what? Oh, I hurt my ankle 9 minutes into the game. I got to come out the game. And just so happens people are betting upon that guy that he would not score 40 points in the game or something like that. Crazy. And here's the part that gets you on this whole thing, guys, is that these people make tens of millions of dollars a year. Okay? And in the case of one player, got his last name. Oh my gosh, I'm going to screw up the guy's name. Well, let me see if I can find the guy's name. Okay, I'm not going to find it. But anyways, the guy makes $27 million. And he was going to make $20 million or $200 million on this particular bet. Well, that's what he makes in the first half of a game. Why would these guys risk everything they've got for a couple of bucks here and there? That is what people have to ask themselves. Why would these guys do this? Charles Barkley, the guys are on, NBA commentators are saying that this is ridiculous. Some people are saying people are addicts. I would say these people are just lost their mind. Yeah, they've just lost their mind. And I just can't get it. We're going to take a really quick break, folks. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on in this nation, because things are going just a little crazy. I think so. This is Pastor Sherman Ray. This is In God We Still Trust. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned, okay? All right, and we are back, folks. Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I hope you're enjoying the show today. We had some really technical, crazy technical difficulties just beginning to start this show. Literally, everything that I had planned for the show was wiped out. Yeah, everything. Videos, pictures, the whole thing. And I'm, working hard just to try to find everything, and was able to find, just enough to get the show started, but yeah, not good. So is this world going crazy? I think in a sense, yes. Are we seeing a uptick in Christianity? Yeah. There was a Pew Research poll, and it says a growing share of U.S. adults say religion is gaining influence in America. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? This is, you've got to get this. Americans' view about religion and public life are shifting. From February 24th to February of 2025, there's a sharp rise in the share of U.S. adults who say religion is gaining influence in American life. Yay! This is awesome. This is probably one of the best things that could have ever happened to America. While this remains a minority view, okay, so not everybody's a Christian, it's increasingly held by adults across several demographic groups, with gains of at least 10 percentage points among Democrats and Republicans. So folks on both sides of the political spectrum say things are getting more, religion's having more and more of an effect. Adults in every age category and in most large religious groups. Okay. This is a Pew Research poll, folks, so this is pretty reputable stuff. It says the new study also finds that in recent years, a growing share of the public takes a positive view of religion and religion's role in society. This is great. This is, and I preach every week, guys. I mean, a couple of times a week, and one of the things that I find that is it's an alarming thing to some. It's a sign of the times, but are we as a nation becoming more or less religious? Well, according to Pew Research, that people have a positive view of the influence of religion in society. As a matter of fact, there's this group of young boys that I think is just a great testament of what's going on in the culture. Many of you know that a lot of sports, intramural sports or sports for kids, that kind of stuff, happen on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that kind of thing. Okay. Well, and especially on Wednesdays and Sundays, those are generally days where most people go to church. Midweek and then on Sundays. Well, there's a group of boys that are saying, we're tired of missing church because those sports that are taking kids away from their midweek services and their Sunday services, I believe they're doing them on purpose, to tell you the truth. I can't imagine any other reason why you would have a sport on a Sunday if you know that people go to church on Sundays. Okay, you're doing it on purpose. You're saying, okay, we're going to vie for those dollars. We're going to vie for those people. And so these young boys, okay, college age guys, high school, college age guys, they're saying we're done with this. We are going to push for the sports events to stop happening on Sundays. Bravo, bravo, bravo. This is what we need as a country, is we need to stop having sports on Sundays. Because guess what? Have it on Saturdays. Have everything on Saturdays. Put it on Fridays and Saturdays. Okay? Because they know by the end of the week, everybody's got their sporting thing going on. And definitely on a Saturday, you can have have a sport on Saturday. But Sundays need to be a day dedicated to the Lord. One day off a week. If Chick-fil-A and if In-N-Out Burger can be closed on Sundays, then and Hobby Lobby can be closed on Sundays, then so can intramural sports. Okay, that's just my humble opinion on this whole thing. Okay, so this is a great story that we're seeing here, and I cannot wait to see more of this happen on a daily basis. There's a couple of more stories I want to get to. This one is actually by the Daily Caller. And the story is about many of you know over the last number of years that the trans community and has been gaining a foothold in America. Guess what, folks? Not according to the Daily Caller. They said, as a matter of fact, this is a story that says that the byline on it says, America's non-binary and trans community are falling apart at the seams. Come on, guys. Falling apart at the seams. What and how did we know this? This is very interesting. Eric Kaufman, it says, Eric Kaufman ignited a virtual firestorm on October 14th. Trans identification is in a free fall among the young, a professor wrote on X. And this is very interesting. It says Kaufman credited in small part improved mental health, improved mental health for this decline, but he noted the decline in anxiety and depression occurred within trans, bisexual, and queer groups as much as among others. So it wasn't the case that most of those who solved their emotional problems became heterosexual. No, the fall of trans and queer seems most similar to the fading of a fashion fad. It was a fad or a trend. It happened largely independently of shifts in political beliefs and social media use. This is interesting. So they're saying But what about those people who cut off for private parts? Well, those people went too far. They drank the Kool-Aid. And this, I think this speaks to a larger problem in America. Well, fads come and go, okay? Fads like wearing Shemenda fur jeans, they come and go, okay? Feathered bangs, okay? Platform shoes. I remember that if you're of my age, you grew up with platform shoes. They were like huge. Some of them are huge, okay? But these folks, during the trans and the whole transgender LGBTQ thing, went way beyond what it should have gone. Way beyond. Because now you have a spiritual problem in America that was being used by Satan to mutilate people, disfigure them, irreparably do harm to their lives. Something that never happened with you just cutting your hair or wearing tight jeans. Okay? And so this fad, this demonic fad, has run its course. And people are... So what do we mean by that? People are saying, I'm not LGBTQ anymore. I don't feel gay anymore. As a matter of fact, guys like girls and girls like guys. And I don't feel like cutting my body parts off. That's what it's saying. Here's what needs to happen, though, folks. I really feel, I'm so strong about this, is that maybe next time a fad like this happens, that the federal government doesn't jump on board on this whole thing. Okay? That the federal government doesn't start, telling people that you've got to start doing this, that, or the other thing because of a fad that is going on. Okay? No matter how much people say, I feel so strongly about this, okay? It's no more real than somebody thinking that they're a girl when they're not a girl. Okay? That's a mental issue. Okay? And maybe they need help emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. They need help more than they need to cut off their body parts. Maybe they need to be prayed for first rather than going this just crazy route in their life. And that's what's going on in our nation. So we're going to run a little long in the show today, guys, but I got one more story that I really want to get into you. This is big, and I think that is going to speak to your spirits. So this is Sherman Ray. In God We Still Trust. We'll be back in just a second. All right, folks, we are back. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. Thank you all for being a part of the broadcast. And once again, I just want to remind you, folks, if you want to get in on the conversation on our YouTube channel, go ahead, just write something up there, and we'll check during the week and be able to get to you. If you'd like to write to us, you can write to us at God We Still Trust one, or excuse me, In God We Still Trust one at gmail.com. It's In God We Still Trust one at gmail.com. We'd love to get with you and to speak with you and get on our mailing list, folks. I mean, really do. We've got shirts, we're making hats and everything else, and you can actually show your patriotism by writing some of our wearing some of our In God We Still Trust swag. Okay. So this was a very interesting an interesting I got so much I'm going to talk about. So let's do this. There was a guy who's running for office, and this is it was a Breitbart story, and he's a Democrat. Democrats have been trying to find the answer to Donald Trump, and they found it. What they believe is in a guy named Graham Plattner. And so Graham is running for, I believe he's running for the Senate. Is he running for the Senate? Okay. And so this is a Breitbart story, and they want to beat Susan Collins up in Maine, and Susan Collins might as well be a Democrat, so it's not going to be a big switch here for any conservatives. And they think that the guy, his name is Graham, is the one who's going to be able to unseat Susan Collins. Well, the problem with Graham, though, is Graham has this tattoo on his chest. And many of you saw this. I don't have the... Once again, I want to apologize. I lost all of my graphics and everything else today. But Graham had a tattoo on his chest. He has since covered it up. The tattoo he got a few years back, he says during the time he was in the Marines, but it is it's a Nazi symbol, or it's been purported to be a Nazi symbol. You can make your own decision on this. And when people saw it, they went, "Oh my gosh, this guy is a Nazi. He's a closet Nazi. He's actually got a Nazi, and it's a big tattoo. It's not a little baby, like a cute little frog. It's a big tattoo right on his breast here. He has since got it covered over. Well, here's the problem with it, is that he says, "Oh, I didn't know that's what it is," and all these other people are saying, "Oh no, maybe he was just Bernie Sanders." Bernie Sanders goes, "Well, we've all had our dark moments in our life. We've all had our dark moments," and so they're giving him a pass on it. Now, what would happen? I just putting it out here. What would happen if a conservative had maybe a symbol on his chest that looked like a swastika or looked like the SS sign? What would happen? Yeah, you're right. He would be tarred and feathered. It would be all over MSNBC. It'd be all over CNN. It'd be all over every place. The guy's face, there'd be marches going on nationwide to make sure this guy never got in office. So where are those same people today? Well, it seems that it's all right if you're a Nazi, if you're a Democrat. It's all right if you're running as a socialist. It's all right if you're running as a progressive to be a Nazi. But not so much if you're anything else. And they're not going to give you a pass. Matter of fact, Elon Musk, he was at a conference and he held up his hand, to salute everybody. And he kind of held up his hand. And they go, "He's a Nazi. Look, he's a Nazi." And that went on for weeks. Shameless hack at far left political claims Democrat U.S. Senate candidate. His tattoo only resembles a Nazi symbol, but it's a Nazi symbol. And as Plattner's own former political director says, Plattner knows it. He darn well knows it. And that's what his former political director said. He knew it. He knew exactly what it was. But Democrats are giving him a pass. Here's the problem we have in America, folks, is that we are a Christian nation. And we cannot have people who are Nazis, communists, Muslims, or any of these other isms running our country. They are wholly incompatible to a Christian nation. And that's all there is to it, folks. I cannot put it any other way. And I'm not ashamed to say it. This is a Christian nation. It's on our money. In God we trust. Okay? It's not on our money, Heil Hitler. It's not on our money, or in Mao we trust. It's not on our money that we live in, that, Allah or anybody else is, Muhammad or anybody else. Okay? It is in God we trust. And that's why we have this show, folks. Because it's in God we still trust. And we always will. I want to thank you for being a part of the broadcast, folks. And if you want to write to us, we'd love for you to write to us. Write to us at GodWeStillTrust1@gmail.com. That's GodWeStillTrust1@gmail.com. You can always go to our website at InGodWeStillTrust.org. Okay, InGodWeStillTrust.org. You can get right there to our Godstream page. We'd love for you to be on there. Check us out on our social medias all over the place, folks. You can get to us. This has been Pastor Sherman Ray for In God We Still Trust. Thank you guys once again for being a part of the broadcast. We will see you again next week. Bye-bye.